Housing costs are ridiculous. Anyone under the age of 40 who doesn't live at home with their parents or doesn't have handouts from mama and papa knows this. The cost of just being alive is so expensive in any country that isn't Rwanda, and it probably is expensive in Rwanda as well. I'm just assuming. Anyway, the truth is, in the UK right now, if you're paying rent, you're screwed. If you're taking out a mortgage in the next couple of months, you're screwed. If you took out a mortgage in the last couple of months, you're screwed. If you bought a house in the last 2 years, you're screwed. If you bought a house about 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, well done. You are the only demographic who's winning. Everybody else is absolutely being slaughtered by the monthly costs. And if, like me, you were in bloody primary school in 2001 and not buying houses, you can't help the fact you're in this situation. In this video, I'm going to look at the major ways in which these housing costs are ruining our economy. That means they're not only affecting our ability to survive, they're affecting our country's ability to develop itself. This applies whether you're in the UK, Canada, America, anywhere that is a somewhat developed economy. So probably not Rwanda. I'm sorry for hating on Rwanda. I don't know much about it. I bet it's a great place. I heard it's the cleanest country in Africa. Let's continue. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the simple fact that entrepreneurship is inhibited by excessive monthly housing costs. If you lose your job and you'll be destitute, you're probably not going to give that job up. You can't afford to take risks. You can't afford to take chances. And if you're not able to save money on a monthly basis to build up a nest egg of capital, you're never going to have the opportunity to invest that. Now, why is this a problem for the economy? If people aren't bothered to innovate, to start new businesses, to develop small businesses, to strengthen local communities with jobs and shops and food places and mechanic shops and all of these, middle market businesses, smaller businesses, we're screwed. Because these are the very things that drive the economy. Not everybody can work at KPMG or Goldman Sachs. Somebody has to work in the local corner shop or the local butchers or the local community festival area place. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Somebody has to do these things, and if nobody's setting up the businesses, then people are losing out on gainful employment, and that's ruining the economy. Another key issue economically is the fact that people just can't save enough to have an emergency fund. Now, why is this a problem for the country at large? If every single person is living paycheck to paycheck, we need a stronger welfare state. There needs to be a safety net, because if that isn't there, then the moment somebody loses their job, they're to the streets.
He cold. She belongs to the streets.
They're running around, homeless, jobless, probably resorting to alcohol or something else to deal with the pain of not having any money. So it's a serious problem. And there are a large amount of homeless people in the streets these days. And I'm not too sure, but maybe these two things are linked. The massive issue with how expensive housing is and the large numbers of homeless people. The truth is, when people end up in that sort of position, sometimes it's the drugs that come first, but sometimes it's genuinely their life heads downhill and then they end up with the drugs or they end up with the drink. So we need to be understanding and realize that these are people who've become unproductive, they're out of the economy, they're somewhat of a drain to society, they require welfare, small amounts, large amounts, but they do direct effort away from the major economy at large and towards them. It's a small amount. However, their biggest loss is the lack of their productivity. They're not working. They're not adding to the country. They are effectively lost souls. And that could happen to anyone. On top of that, if the government needs to intervene on a mass scale, for example, with the energy crisis currently where people's bills are being subsidized, etc., or they were, then that costs the taxpayer money. Which means overall certain things will be more limited. Less funding for schools, less funding for the NHS, just as an example. So these things are all related. Workforce mobility is also massively affected by excessively high housing costs. If you have a population of people who have the brains and the skills, unable to go to the places where the brains and the skills are required, you have an issue. If you have graduates from UCL, King's College London, Imperial College who are unable to find jobs in London that pay the rent, you have problems because the only people then taking up those jobs will be the unqualified. Well, that's not true. Will be the less qualified and less productive. You might have somebody whose parents just happen to own a house somewhere in London so they can stay there. but they don't have a first class degree. They have a 2-2. So you have a lower quality of graduate getting that job simply because of the circumstances. Now, I know I'm giving you a very specific scenario, but this is happening on a larger scale, and these small min-max differences are what makes the difference between a very productive, high-end, top economy and what the UK is turning into, which is a third world premium country. Adjacent to the last point is the fact that education is also affected by mobility. If the right candidates are put off going to university in certain cities such as London, Birmingham, Manchester, and Cambridge and Oxford especially, which are notoriously expensive, then the smartest minds will not be in the best courses for them to undertake. If the next generation of Oxford graduates are limited by the funds their parents have, then we have a big problem. I do understand that scholarships and schemes are available in certain specific situations. However, this needs to be an issue that can be solved on a wide-scale basis. A few exceptions do not break the norm, where only the people from the most elite backgrounds can attend these institutions in the first place. Now, the matter of fact is that even if people get into the universities, the financial costs of renting in a city such as Oxford or Cambridge or London put them in a precarious position. Our economy has been killed by house prices and rents and all of this nonsense. The fact of the matter is, young people are just not spending money anymore, and that, in my opinion, is the biggest problem we have. The only big spenders in our economy now are geriatric rich house owners. And when I mean homeowners and house owners, I don't mean people who have taken out a mortgage in the last 10 years. I mean people who have multiple, sometimes paid off mortgages, who are taking in rental income, who are basically draining young people of their disposable income to hoard their wealth in offshore bank accounts or just in regular bank accounts, And these people, what they're inevitably doing is making it more difficult for somebody in their early 30s, in their late 20s to make the purchases that would allow the economy to progress. People can't afford new cars. New car prices have gone up because of COVID and all that, but irregardless of that, people just cannot buy new cars. People just cannot afford luxuries, holidays. People cannot afford nice things. Now, there are a lot of idiotic people who spend their money on these things, but I'm talking about the middle class. People who also do pay their rent and pay bills and have a house and this, that, and the other. Those people are being absolutely squeezed. And the problem here is, without all of this spending, you can't employ the people in the car factories. You can't employ the people who make fancy garments. You can't employ the people in retail stores. You can't employ the people who deliver Amazon products. We have issues around this. Jobs are being cut indirectly and directly because of the lack of spending, and ultimately an economy is just simply a game of how much money is spent within a country and how much produce is being consumed, etc., etc. So if nobody has discretionary spending, then our economy cannot grow. We can't buy more products. The government can't make more money off taxes, and we're in trouble. And I think that's the biggest disservice house prices have given us. They are hurting everyone. Unfortunately, the people who've caused this issue, the boomers, they'll be dead before the true ramifications of what's happening come to bear. Population numbers are also declining. So this problem has compounded on itself, and it will be a bigger beast in the years to come. And I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that you don't want to be on the wrong side of the fence when it comes to home ownership. I feel like soon society will turn into the have-not and the have. So people who have a steady house, steady roof, who can pay their mortgage, who don't need to worry about some sort of slumlord destroying their lives and everybody else. And I don't think this massive, Armageddon house price crash is going to happen anytime soon. I think because of the way the system's set up, the people who should be selling are just not selling, and there is a massive amount of demand. So brace yourself.